Welcome to Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast.
That's right, everybody. It's another episode of the Bucket of Chum Podcast. This week, I am excited to be talking about Jaws of the Shark from 2012. Directed by, and now I'm probably going to butcher this name because I believe this movie was made in Sweden. It's in English, but directed by Gustav Ljungdahl, Ljungdahl. No idea how to pronounce that. Yeah, this movie is fantastic. I'm actually just going to read the plot description from the back of the Blu-ray before I dive into this thing. Two brilliant, in quotes, scientists come to the conclusion that it would be a great idea to make a shark with legs. And of course it escapes and finds a chainsaw and starts punishing teens in the forest because what else would a shark with legs and a chainsaw do? So now it's up to our heroes to try and stop the shark with a chainsaw with the right amount of force necessary to take it down. I mean, with a plot description like that, why wouldn't you want to watch this movie? And honestly, this is one of my favorite, terrible shark movies. It is so much fun and fucking ridiculous. Anyways, I'll talk more about it as I get into this plot here. It's a great fucking time. So the movie opens with a warning that the movie is for mature audiences only. Oh, it's a guy at a desk, actually, saying this, and then he's attacked by an inflatable shark. And, whatever. It's just a funny little intro they did. So then we cut to some scientists in a lunchroom, or maybe it's their lab. It's really hard to tell. This movie's super low budget, so the sets are they're in somebody's house or, whatever. It is what it is. So the scientists are in the room. One scientist looking at his computer, and he goes, oh no. He walks over to the other scientist, and he's like, you know that mad shark we've been working on? It's escaped. That's not very good at all. Yeah, like I said, this movie's Swedish, so I probably can't do a Swedish accent, so I'll be doing accents throughout this whole fucking thing. None of it's going to make any sense, but just roll with me here, people. I just like doing accents. It's fun. So let's have fun with this, all right? The credits roll as we follow a jogger who's in, this awful yellow and green. I don't know. It looks like a 90s fucking jogging suit or some shit. It's fucking awful looking. It's not important, but I thought I'd point that out. So, he sees something near the shore. He goes to it. It must be a stranded whale or something. We can clearly see, this is a dude in a gray shark costume. Clear as fucking day. So anyways, he pulls out his phone to call the authorities. He tells the person on the phone he's found a stranded whale or shark. Because, you can't tell those two fucking things apart. And what should he do? What's his next move here? The fucking shark knocks his hand off while he's still holding the phone. So it lands on the ground. Again, cheap movie, so this severed hand is just a plastic fucking dollar store. I don't know if they have dollar stores in Sweden, but you know what I mean. Knocks his hand off. Phone's still on it. It's pretty fucking funny. Blood shoots out of his arm. Then we see a close-up of the shark's jaws biting down. Screen goes black. Jaws of the shark. Fucking brilliant so far. So then we cut to a car of 5 people. There's 3 girls in the back seat, 1 girl in the front, and a guy driving. None of the characters have names in this movie either, so you're gonna be hearing me refer to people by something they're wearing or their hair color, because they don't have names. Even in the IMDb credit list, nobody has names. So yeah, it might get confusing. It doesn't matter, because the shit that happens in this movie is just fucking phenomenal. Just ridiculous. So there's 5 people in this car. Brunette girl in the back and the blonde girl at the front of the car are played by the same fucking actor. They're playing sisters, not twins or anything, but she's playing her own sister, which is just amazing. So the blonde goes, party on the beach, it's going to be fun, right? And then the brunette, her sister, is like, I didn't want to come with you, so just let me be. And the blonde is like, oh, maybe we'll find a boy for you to be with. And then the blonde girl calls Alex, who's the dead jogger, so the one person's name that we have is fucking dead. So his phone is ringing in his severed hand. Obviously, no one picks up. So we're learning that they're all going to celebrate his birthday. So they're going to meet him and a bunch of his friends somewhere. So they arrive at their destination. They're the first ones to arrive. The driver says to set up the tent and then get drunk. So driver and Blondie start to set up their tent. There's two girls who are dating, so there's a couple. So these two lesbians watch and make fun of them struggling, and then they go off to start getting dinner ready. And then suddenly it's nighttime. So then we cut to these girls making out the tent. Then the driver and Blondie are in their tent. Blondie is all upset no one showed up, blah, blah, blah. She questions whether he had any friends, and then they start to argue. The girl couple are listening or overhearing everything. And then the driver and Blondie start getting hot and heavy and, start fucking going at it. And then outside, the Shark Man is luring around the tents. He pops his head inside the driver and Blondie's tent as they are doing it. And then Blondie seems like she's fucking orgasming as the driver is being torn in half. And the tearing in half part was actually, for a movie with a budget as low as this, like, some of these effects were, like, fun and pretty, I guess good's not the right word to use, but they were fun. Some of the effects were fun. It was great. So, yeah. Then the intestines flop out, and then they squirt blood all over Blondie's face like she's getting a fucking face load of jizz or something. And then she finally notices that it's a fucking shark, and she starts screaming. So then one of the girls from the couple calls out. She's like, "Oh, come on, no one's that good." And the brunette girl is sleeping in the car. She starts covering her ears from the screaming. Blondie just, like, bops the shark on the fucking nose with a mallet and just boop. Then he leaves the tent slowly. He walks towards the other girl's tent. One of them asks, "Are we a good couple?" The other responds, "Of course, if we weren't, God would give us a sign." And at that fucking moment, the shark pulls her fucking head, puts it in its mouth, pulls her out of the tent. Brunette girl gets out of the car, and she starts filming it in this, like, day for night shot. Like, the rest of this looks like it was actually done at night. Yeah, but this one shot was definitely, like, a day for night. But there's also other scenes shot in the tents that it definitely looks like they just set the tent up in somebody's somebody's living room, and then just started fucking shooting it, which is probably what they did. Like I said, it's low budget, so I mean, hey, you know what? Good on you. The brunette girls filmed it. Shark runs away. As the shark is running away, we see the back of the costume, like, opening up, like, the whole time in this movie, we can see holes in the shark costume, but whatever, it's okay. I'll let it go for this movie because just everything else that happens is so fucking worth it. So then we get a lumberjack wandering through the woods, talking about lumberjacking at night. Slumberjacking, maybe? Could we call it that? Slumberjacking? Yeah, I like that. Anyways, the one surviving girl is running away from the shark. The lumberjack is starting up his chainsaw. She stops the lumberjack, asks him for help. The shark just starts beating his fucking head against the tree. He picks up a hacksaw and saws the lumberjack's head off. Very cool effect. I actually really like this part. It's so fucking good. Then he picks up the chainsaw and he continues chasing the girl. And then cut to black and we can just hear her being chainsawed, and then body parts just being thrown to the ground as if they've been chainsawed or whatever. And again, they're like dollar store parts, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just fucking ridiculous enough to be awesome. So then we cut to morning. There's, like, a forensic team and cops taking pictures, collecting evidence around the campsite. Then a police officer tells the brunette girl, they'll find whoever did this and that they've got their best man on the job. And then she's like, "You don't mean..." And then the cop's like, "Oh, yes." And that's when we get this fucking Sherlock Holmes looking motherfucker coming onto the crime scene. And, like, he's got the pipe, the hat, British accent, everything. So he asks the cop what happened. The cop says, a girl filmed something which, proves a monster did it. Cop shows him some shark teeth they found. And then, the cop just breaks down basically what happened. Like, here's the first body, here's the second body, blah, blah, blah. The detective says, "This is a mystery indeed. It seems we have a murderer on the loose armed with a shark. And looks directly into the fucking camera when he says this. Like, it's part of it. Like, they did this on purpose, but still, it's fucking great. So then the cop asks about the weird footprints. A murderer with shark jaws and funny shoes. Like, what? Whatever. Like, this movie's definitely, like, comedy. Like, they knew what they were doing when they made this movie, which makes it that much more enjoyable, because they did not take this seriously at all, which is great. I'm all for this. But, so, like, the detective doesn't seem to understand, like, what's happening. He questions the brunette and blonde. So, like, whenever we see the blonde, she was obviously filmed in a different location at a different time. And the brunette is basically just sitting next to a dummy or something with a blonde wig on it. Sure, that's one way of doing it. The brunette just keeps telling the detective about the shark. He doesn't seem to grasp it. Like, he just doesn't get it. She's like, "It was a shark, you idiot." Oh, yes, a mystery indeed. So, like, she even shows him the video. He says he'll investigate this theory of hers. So, okay. The brunette finds a tag that was on the shark. We actually saw this at the beginning with the jogger guy. Then we cut to a bunch of kids around a campfire smoking a, like, cartoonishly big joint. Like, oh my god. And, like, they're overacting as stoners. It's great. It's so good. So one guy goes to take a piss, and then we see the chainsaw come in, and then we're back at the campfire. The shark chainsaws some people, chokes one dude with intestines. One stoner is like, "Whoa, my friends are being eaten by a shark." Fuck. And then one girl takes a second to notice this, and then finally she runs away, and of course she's chased. Then the camera goes, like, right up to her face, black screen, crunching noises, and then the shark puts her body over the fucking fire like a spit roast or a rotisserie. It's so fucking good. And then the shark goes over to the last stoner. He steals this fucking joint and just takes a huge puff. Just complete nonsense. Fucking love it. So then we cut back to the brunette girl at home, looking at something under a microscope. You know, she's clearly in her bedroom. She's taking notes. Then goes through a small stack of DVDs, so we see, like, Jaws and some other shark movies. And then she even picks up Sharktopus and is like, "I don't think this is a good, reliable source." So, yeah. She's also got, like, all kinds of horror memorabilia behind her. Like, she's got a Hellraiser poster and figure, I think, and whatever. You know, kind of just some cool shit in the background. She holds up the tag that she found from the shark. She's like, "Maybe I should call them." So, like, it has this lab's number, like, right on the fucking card. So then we're outside the lab, which is called, like, Toboku Lab or something. Anyways, and, like, there's lightning striking it. It's like, ooh, spooky. And then the brunette shows up. It's fucking daytime. So, like, the establishing shot, it was, like, nighttime, thundery, but now it's daytime. Whatever, it doesn't matter. She shows up, and she says that she works for Awesome Science magazine. So the scientist just shows her a body they're researching, and then a bunch of shit. She's like, "Oh, it's a chairs, shelf, and some stuff." And then I think he even has his liver in a fucking jar. So, yeah, there's all that. And then he shows her their pool, which is just the side of a fucking lake. Like, it's not a pool. And then she asks about a man shark. And this scientist just straight up tells her what they did. Like, "Yep, we made a man shark and he escaped." And she's like, "And you didn't tell anyone?" And he's like, "Well, you see, we already messed up once this month and we don't want our boss to find out. So we're just going to tell a fucking journalist about it. I'm sure their boss will never find out." Fuck. So then Detective Tweed, who is the Sherlock Holmes looking fucker, he calls Brunette, says he wants her to look at a lineup of suspects. So she agrees, and then we cut to a police lineup. Now, in this police lineup, we have Leatherface, Jason Voorhees, Ghostface, and Michael Myers. And all of these masks look like they bought them off Wish. Like, they're all fucking terrible. It's so good. I love it. It's fucking amazing. Detective Tweed asks if it was any one of them. She asks, like, "Is he serious? Like, are you fucking serious right now?" And then he asks, Are you sure it's not the one on the far right? The camera fucking pans over, and there's a black guy there holding an inflatable shark. Okay, so I did some research into this, and the actor who is playing the black man is, I think it's a white guy in blackface. And even in the credits, he's credited as mandatory black man. Now, I think this is just supposed to be a parody of how black people might be treated in like America and whatnot, because Sweden actually only has like a 4% African or black population. So I'm not saying it's right, but I don't know that their intentions were necessarily malicious, but it's still so fucking weird. But take that how you will, okay? So anyways, the brunette is like, no, it was a man shark. And then the detective is like, ah, yes, a mystery indeed. So, he's like, the only black man around for miles. So, yeah, Sweden doesn't have a large black population. So, I think it was probably innocent. So then Tweed and the cop are walking through the woods, heading to a fishing spot for some reason. They see a wallet on the ground. The cop goes to pick it up. It's attached to a string, that little prank. And the cop's like, oh, I know this game, because I'm going to follow it and find those kids. No one makes a fool of me. So then he starts following the string while Tweed goes and fishes off the dock. Tweed's on the dock, and he, wonders where the officer is. He goes into the woods. He finds the officer dead. The man shark is eating his body, parts of his body, with chopsticks while wearing an apron and a chef's hat. Fucking brilliant. It's just so good. Oh, man. Then Tweed runs away as the man shark chases him. He fumbles for his car keys. He gets into the passenger side of the car and then goes all British, because like, oh, the steering wheel's on the wrong side. He gets out of the car, runs around to the other side, gets in. Man shark is like tapping on the fucking windows. Tweed starts the car. He drives off. The man shark clings to the back of the car and he's being dragged. Now, it's obviously just the costume being dragged, and they've just like shoved old clothes in it or something to fill it out. So, yeah, there were like zero stunts involved in this. It climbs on the roof and it tries to attack Tweed through the fucking sunroof. Tweed takes his gun. Sharkman knocks it on the floor. They struggle for a bit. And then Tweed actually bites into the shark. He gets the gun and he goes, that damn shark! Shoots the shark. It rolls off the car. And, again, the shark suit is obviously filled with clothes or whatever. There's not a person. Tweed looks. He says, forget this. Drives off. Sharkman gets up, brushes himself off. Tweed stops at an intersection and he calls the brunette girl who's gone back to interviewing the scientist again. So we cut to that. The scientist is saying, he can give her information. That she picks up the phone right away. Tweed admits she was right and says he can't handle it, so it's all up to her now. He's just handing her the entire fucking operation. So cool. In this lunchroom, lab, place, whatever it is, some fucking commando dude shows up with a gas mask on, offering his assistance, and his name is Brule the Hunter. The other scientist says they can't kill it. There's too much valuable research will be lost. Kind of like last week's movie. Huh, never made that connection. So they have to tranquilize it. The commando dude takes brunette girl to his car, which is like loaded with weapons. Hands her a rifle wrapped in a blanket. He's going to use a big machete because a real hunter comes with as little as possible. And then he says all the bigger weapons in his car are, for when he finally hunts down Cthulhu, as one does. So, so the brunette and commando dude walk over to some guy in like a 1950s archaeology outfit, and I'm pretty sure it's the same actor who played the lumberjack, or the slumberjack as I like to call him from earlier. So the commando dude says this area is off limits, that they're there to kill the shark. And then we find out that these two used to be companions, but the commando dude left because the other dude believed in mermaids, and that's preposterous. This coming from the fucking guy who's hunting down Cthulhu, but whatever. And then fucking Blondie appears, and she's helping the archaeology dude for some reason. I mean, like, to get back at her boyfriend for being dead, you know, it's not really explained how these two met. They're just there. So then the commando dude and fucking Indiana Jones there argue as the brunette girl goes and sets up her rifle. Blondie and the archaeology dude are setting up their trap. Sharkman, this part is fucking great. Sharkman approaches in a fucking convertible. A toy convertible, have you? And it jumps the car, decapitating one of the other archaeologist crew that was there, I guess. I think it was just a dummy there the whole time. But anyways, his head is fucking knocked off. Amazing. So fucking good. The car crashes. We don't see it. We just hear it. You know, the Sharkman, you know, jumps out, lands on his feet, grabs his chainsaw, starts chasing them. Commando dude shows up with his machete, and they fucking duel. Brunette girl can't get a shot off, you know, because fucking commando dude's always in the way. Blondie's there throwing shit at the shark. He slices the chainsaw into her stomach. Then we cut to just a totally different blonde girl in a bikini. We'll call her Baywatch from now on. I thought it was the brunette girl again, playing just another character, but we see them together on screen later on, so I don't think it is her. She's just sitting on a deck in a bikini, and she's like, sounds like a shark. And then she does the slow-mo fucking Baywatch run. Because, why not? You know, fuck it. I kind of feel like that's how most of this movie went. They're just like, yeah, fuck it, put this in here. So, we cut back to the shark man. He grabs one of Blondie's boobs, a fake one, and like he just rips it right off, and he starts hitting the fucking commando with it. Baywatch gets there. Her and commando dude start hitting the shark. Shark man knocks them both down. Brunette girl finally takes a shot, hits the shark man in the head, starts crawling on the ground towards Baywatch, and then it collapses. You know, commando dude stands over the shark all proud. Baywatch recognizes Commando. She's a fan of his show or something, so I guess this dude has a show. Gives him her number, and then goes away, I guess. So then the brunette girl calls the lab, tells the scientists, you know, come pick up the fucking shark. Somehow Blondie is still alive, even after having her gut ripped open and her tit ripped off. She's alive somehow. So, yeah. You know, but of course, she's upset, you know, that she's mutilated and her boyfriend's still dead. You know, that's the important thing. So then we're back at Toboko Labs, or whatever the fuck it's called. They put the shark man down on the table. You know, they're like, oh, we can make him faster, stronger, blah, blah, blah. You know, yeah, that's a great fucking idea, idiots. They start performing, like, surgery on the shark dude. And there's just, like, really happy-go-lucky music playing. They're taking like a scrub brush and brushing its teeth. Anyways, one of the scientists tells the commando the, you know, Sharkman wasn't injured too bad, now he'll be getting his money. So then, you know, he's like, oh, now I will go home, have a drink with the lifeguard who was so obviously attracted to me. Okay, you go do that, buddy. The Sharkman wakes up, rips out all of his IVs. Then we cut to the commando dude, stares at his phone. He's like, call, god damn it. I don't know if he's expecting her to call or if he's just trying to psych himself up to call. Doesn't matter. One of the scientists returns to find like the shark man has gone. And then we cut to Baywatch's house. The doorbell rings. She goes to answer the door. She's still in the fucking bikini, of course. She answers the door and then it just cuts. So like we have no idea what the fuck just happened. Then we cut to the sisters talking about the shark. You know, Blondie is upset about her boob and her boyfriend, and, you know, Brunette tells her not to go after the shark again or do anything stupid. And then at that point, the brunette girl fucking takes an iron and cauterizes Blondie's boob with it. Like, fucking ridiculous. And then just puts her down to bed. Yeah, like, no, let's not go to a hospital or anything. Let's just fucking take care of this ourselves. I mean, I don't know much about Sweden's healthcare system, but I feel like they could have and probably should have gone to a hospital. So now Commando Dude starts like dreaming about being on a date with a Gatling gun. Okay, why not? Like they're at a picnic, and then he's kissing it, and then he's in bed with it. And then we cut to a brunette girl making tea. She puts a shit ton of sugar in this thing too. I don't know why I was so distracted by how much sugar she was putting into it, but like, man, it was way too much. But anyways, she turns on the TV, and it's a news story about the shark escaping again, killing a bunch of cops, jumping at a helicopter, and all like a whole bunch of other shit that sounded so elaborate. And like, obviously, they shot nothing of this. Then the news anchor's like, too bad no one got it on tape. Which is exactly what the fucking audience is thinking too, to be fair. But of course, Burnett's like, oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So then she calls the Commando Dude and tells him, he goes to his weapons bunker, which is like a room in a basement with a keypad that's basically just a calculator taped to some silver painted cardboard. Yeah. He grabs his weapons, and he's like, this time is personal. Sure. So he starts loading guns into his car with, the other shit ton of guns that were already in the car. He picks up the brunette girl, so they go to the scientist. Scientists say he feels very bad about this, but the shark has escaped. Well, duh. And, Commando Dude says there's only one thing left to do. Scientist agrees, but tells him, they put a cybernetic chip in its head to make it almost impossible to kill. And the scientist is like, yes, we'll admit that was a bit stupid. But also at this point, they just happen to remember that it has a tracker in its head, and they hand them a device to track it, which kind of like, what was that other one we watched? Land Shark. Has like a controller, like an RC remote as the tracking device. It's the same fucking deal here. Then we go to mandatory black man calls Blondie, inviting her to a cabin for the weekend. But, she's like, I'm mutilated and a little tired. So, yeah. Because the mutilated part wasn't bad enough. Her being tired is like the main reason she's not fucking going to this thing. And, he says he's renting a cabin to celebrate not being in jail. And then Blondie's like, well, why is that a reason to celebrate? And here's this fucking quote. Well, because I'm a black guy. I was on trial for murder, and I didn't get capital punishment. That has to be some sort of record, right? Boom. Fuck. Oh, my God. It feels so inappropriate. I don't know if it is. Because, I think they're just, making a commentary on it, but I don't know. The whole thing's very strange, but anyways, at the end, Blondie agrees to go. So then we're back with Burnett and Commando, and the Commando Dude says he has a perfect plan. Burnett calls Blondie so she doesn't show up and ruin everything, but she doesn't answer because she's gone off to the fucking cabin or whatever. So then we cut to, Blondie's in the car with the mandatory black man and others talking about partying. The black guy says he has shark pheromones he bought from a guy in a gas mask. So that's the Commando Dude. And it's supposed to make him perform better. AKA better in the sack, y'all. Fuck. The brunette girl and the Commando are staking out the woods. And then we see the Shark Man dragging Baywatch to a shed. This shed that we see is supposed to be a cabin. It's not. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then the Commando Dude's like, that's my hot date. We need to change tactics. So then Blondie and, all them, they pull up to the cabin. We learn that the Commando Dude sold the pheromones to set up a trap for the shark to come to this fucking cabin, which is just like a half a building with a door on the front of it. And then, so when they open the door, all you would see is the woods behind it. So they just hung a fucking black sheet behind the thing, but you can still see daylight through it, so it's pretty obvious what it is. And then, anytime we cut inside the cabin, it's very much not inside a cabin. It's just somebody's fucking house. Again, low budget, they did what they did, doesn't matter, I like it. It's fine. So this is where we're in the house. Baywatch sits at the table. Sharkman brings her a plate of food and then gets her to eat it, by like kind of growling at her. I don't know why that's there. It is. One of Blondie's crew enters the cabin. Fucking Shark Man pulls her inside, and then we just see like blood and body parts going by the door frame. So then the Shark Man exits the cabin and chases them all with his chainsaw. And the commando dude's like, see? Serial killers can't resist young people in a cabin. And somehow the brunette girl hasn't noticed that her sister is there. I don't know how. I guess she's just dumb. They head to the cabin to rescue Baywatch as the Shark Man is chasing the others through the woods. Chainsaws one girl's back. She is dead. Pretty decent looking effect. It almost looked like he was cutting into ribs instead of a back, but, you know, it's fine. It works. I liked it. The mandatory black man sits down to take a shit. Shark Man sneaks up behind him and then starts humping him. I think it's implied that like he's fucking him like Deliverance style. And there's just this weird music playing over top of it, which makes it just a little bit more unsettling because it's like kind of upbeat and happy. But there's this random dude picking berries or something, and like he stumbles upon these two. The mandatory black man asks for help. The berry picker dude like snaps a photo with his phone. Sharkman rips off mandatory black man's head and then chases Berry Man. The Berry Man fights the Sharkman with like a big stick, knocks him down. He's like, okay, that's all I need to do. Then he goes to leave, and of course the Sharkman gets up, hits him with the stick, and you know he's fucking dead. So then we're back with Commando and Burnett, like they're rescuing Baywatch. They leave the cabin. Sharkman is outside waiting for them. He's ready to fucking go. So Commando sends Burnett and Baywatch to go to the car because he's going to fight the shark himself. So Burnett and Baywatch head to the car while Commando fights. So the Burnett girl leaves Baywatch in the car. She grabs this massive fucking rifle. Like, it looks like it fires tank shots. Like, it's fucking like, it's ridiculous. We cut back to the Commando and the Sharkman dueling. And then Blondie is in, like, an actual shed. And she attaches, like one of those whisks for, like, mixing, you know, like baking. And she attaches it to a fucking drill. And then for some reason they just cut to Baywatch leaving the car. I don't know why. Like, she's just sitting there and then she just leaves the car. Commando and Sharkman fight. Commando is, like, thrown against the cabin. Burnett girl loads this massive fucking gun, like this 50 caliber on steroids weapon. She fires this thing, like, she fires it standing up, which I don't know a lot about weapons, but, like, something that big, the fucking recoil would have, like, blown her back. like her shoulder's gone. Like, she would have nothing left. It's, you know, but it's fine. It's so comically big, though, is what I'm trying to say. It's fucking great. So she fires it. It goes through the shark's fin, through the cabin, and then we cut to, like, some toy cows, and one of the cows is then split in half, like, saying that, like, this fucking bullet went through all these things and just cut this cow in half, and it's just a toy cow. Like, oh, man, it's fucking great. So she reloads this fucking rifle, and this time she hits the shark in the head. Blondie comes out of nowhere, out of this fucking shed, with her little whisk drill, and starts, like, drilling into the fucking wound, and it's all meaty and bloody and fucking gross. And it falls. Commando's like, I think it's dead. And Burnett's like, yep. And then Baywatch chick just comes running up, and she's like, you killed it. You're my hero. And Commando's like, how about dinner tonight? How about a nice piece of fish? And, like, then the three of them just walk away. But then the Burnett girl gets on the phone, calls the scientist, like, you know, come pick up this shark. And then its fin twitches, you know, suggesting that it's still alive. And then it cuts to the scientist, and then it's just them in, like, a lab staring at the camera, and that's how we got the Nobel Prize. And then, like, that's the end. And then we roll credits, and we get some bloopers during the credits, you know, like any great comedy movie. So that is all of Jaws of the Shark. Man. From what I remember, I don't think there was any CGI in this movie, which was nice. Granted, the shark suit doesn't look the greatest, but somehow this movie just fucking works for me because it's just so ridiculous. And like, yeah, the story is kind of the same as a lot of these movies, you know, like scientists doing experiments and, you know, shit like that. I mean, that's pretty much what we had last week with Devilfish. But it's still, like, just the dialogue and the acting, like, it's fucking hilarious. It's a good watch. Like, have a few drinks, smoke a fat bowl, whatever, man. Like, this is just a good fucking time. I can't recommend this, and it's not very long. It was like an hour and 10 minutes or something. It's an easy watch. It's probably best watched in a group of friends for the average watcher, but yeah, it's fucking great, man. I had a great time with it. So that was Jaws of the Shark from 2012, a nice Swedish shark movie. Don't forget to check us out on all of our socials at Bucket of Chum Podcast. You can check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can email me at bucketofchumpodcast@gmail.com. As always, tell me what you like about the show. Tell me what you didn't like. And we'll be back next week with more Bucket of Chum.
Thanks for listening to Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast.